We're going to make your first program in App Inventor now. Before we go to create the user interface, we have the Simpsons assets. You can click on that and that will download the image and sound files we're going to need in our project. There they go there, and you can put them into your App Inventor folder, but we can see we have the files here. Back here we then have to go to App Inventor. This link will take us there, and when we get to this, it's a matter of clicking on Create. You should have set up an App Inventor account. We can click Continue, just ignore that, and we are then going to start a new project which we'll call Simpsons. Click OK, and then we'll see the standard blank user interface screen. We have the viewer. On the left hand side we have the objects that we will put in place. Way over to the right we have the properties, and here we'll show the objects in the order in which they appear in the viewer. So without further ado, let's start adding some of these objects, and what we're going to do is we're going to add the image object. So we drag that on to the screen and we get our image object. Now straight away we want to develop good habits, so we have this called image1 and we're going to rename that. So we're going to rename all our objects, and the first three letters will be a descriptor of what the object is. This is an image, so a capital I, small m, G for the image, and then the second part of the descriptor will be something sensible about whatever our image is that we're adding. This is going to be about Simpsons, so img Simpsons. So straight away we look at this and we can tell that it's going to be an image object that we're working with, and as I said, the second part, you choose that, just make it sensible. Now beneath that we are going to put on some buttons. We're going to have 4 buttons in total. That's the obvious thing, putting the buttons in, which we can see that from our user interface that we are provided with. But good idea if we actually go down and we go into the layout option, and then we have this one here, a horizontal arrangement. So not so obvious, but if we drag that on, and we'll see how we use that. So we've got horizontal arrangement, keep up our good habits, rename it, horizontal arrangement, capital H, Z, A, and we're going to put our buttons in. So our second word start with a capital, the rest in lowercase. So again, let's get in the habit of using these good habits basically. Click OK. So we have our horizontal arrangement, and within there we go back to the user interface and we're going to put our buttons in. So if we take one button, and that's the button, we're going to rename that. So rename, it's a button, capital B, TN for a button. This one's going to be about Mr. Burns, I'll just call it Burns, and click OK. And underneath, I'm not going to put the rest of the buttons in right now. Underneath the list of buttons we have a piece of text, so we click the label object and put that underneath and rename it. So LBL, I'm just going to say here instruction, because it's going to show the instructions for what we have to do to run the program. Click OK. So some of the main things that we have to put in place, quite straightforward. Okay, what we then have to do is we have to make sure that we change the appropriate properties so that this looks much more like the user interface that we're provided with. But just before we do that, we'll now bring in the images and sound files that we have to require in this project. And down underneath media, if we click upload file, then those files we downloaded earlier, we're going to choose them. Now you should have put them in a sensible place in your program, so this is going to be, should be in your App Inventor folder, and so if you go and find your files, then we'll be able to upload them. So here we have the Simpsons. Just upload that file, click OK, and once we've uploaded it, then that file should appear under here, which is again Simpsons, open, and OK. It'll tell us it's uploading it, and once it's uploaded, there we have it there. Upload files, and you just do the same with the rest of the files, including our sound files. So I'll take the homer.wav, open that one, click OK, and we can see that sound file is uploaded. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to do that for all of the media that we have. Okay, let's now make our user interface look more like it should do. So firstly, if we click on the image, we see it's highlighted here. We're on our program. What we immediately want to do is we want to take the picture and we want it to show the Simpsons. So click OK. The width, we will set the width to be automatic, which is what we've got, but the height, we have set all of our images to be 350 pixels in the original graphics, so we will use that value. And if we click OK, we don't really see any difference there, but that's just fine. The button, click on the button. So this is a button that is going to show the details about Mr. Burns. So we're going to make it basically just say that. So if we go down, text, really quite straightforward to do a lot of these things here. Mr. Burns, and immediately it changes to show that. And from that point we can add the rest of our buttons. Just a couple of things here. Our horizontal arrangement, so if we click on that, then if we notice it just goes so far across the screen, we want to actually make sure that the width of that fills the parent, and the parent is where that object is contained, and it's contained within the screen. So when we click OK, it fills the full width of the screen. Now what we should actually do with our buttons is we should make sure that the buttons also, the width fills the parent. So if we click OK, then this button goes the full width of the screen. Now we put another button on. So we're going to put on a button for Homer. If we click, drag it here, then again same thing, get in the good habit, rename it first of all, or you'll end up forgetting to do it. So that's our Homer button. Click OK, and the text should say Homer, and that should also, the width should fill the parent, so possibly you have an idea what's going to happen when we click OK here. Yep, both our buttons are pretty much the same size, filling the complete screen. So there we go. And the text, we want the text just to give our user an instruction on what it is that they have to do. So we're going to get the text, LBL instructions we have here, and we'll go to the text property and simply say click button above to meet the character, and I think we'll make that bold. Now obviously we could change any of these properties that we want. We could change the text color and so on. Very straightforward. And last thing, there is one object that we haven't done anything with, and that's the actual screen itself, which is the first object that we get. Now I'm actually just going to leave its name as screen 1 because there's very little work we're going to do with screens, but we will make it say something a little bit more than screen 1. So again, we'll go down to the instead of the text option, it's the title, and we'll make that say Meet the Simpsons. So there we go, we've got that in place. So basically we just got another couple of buttons to add. We're going to colour one of those buttons a little bit differently, but we're going to leave you to see if you can figure that one out. And then basically we're going to have our user interface in place. Easy to make our user interface look the way that it should, but the key is making sure that we develop the good habits, making sure that all of our object components have sensible names, because when we go to the next stage, which is coding our program, it's going to make it so much easier for us to do if we have given sensible names here.